Welcome to another video. So, today we're talking about Craft Agents. This is an open source desktop application for working with AI agents, and it's built by the team behind Craft.do. It's basically an alternative to using Claude Code in the terminal, but with a much nicer interface and some really cool features that make it stand out. Now, Craft Agents is built on top of the Claude Agent SDK, which is the same foundation that Claude Code uses. So you get all the same core tools like read, write, edit, bash, glob, and grep. But the big difference is the user experience. Instead of typing commands in a terminal, you get this beautiful inbox-style interface that works kinda like an email and task manager hybrid. So, let's talk about what makes this different from just using Claude Code directly. The first thing is the interface itself. You have persistent conversations with statuses, which is really nice. You can have multiple sessions running at the same time, switch between them, and your history is preserved. This is something that's really hard to do with terminal-based tools. With Craft Agents, you can literally launch a task, switch to another conversation, work on something else, and then come back to the first one. All the context is still there. That's super useful when you're working on multiple features or debugging different issues at the same time. The second thing is the permission model. They have 3 modes: Explore, which is read-only; Ask to edit, which requires your approval before any changes; and Auto, which just lets the agent do its thing autonomously. I really like the Explore mode because you can let the AI research and plan without worrying about it accidentally modifying your files. Once you're aligned on the approach, you can switch to Auto and let it execute. This Explore then Execute workflow is actually something I wish more AI coding tools had. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Craft Agents can connect to pretty much anything. They support MCP servers, so you can connect to GitHub, Linear, Slack, and Craft documents. But you can also connect to any REST API or your local file system. A single conversation can pull data from multiple sources at the same time, which is super powerful. For example, you could have an agent that reads your Linear tickets, looks at the relevant code in your GitHub repo, and then writes a summary in a Craft document. All in one conversation. That's the kind of workflow that would normally require a ton of manual context switching. The customization is also really good. Everything is configured through YAML and Markdown files. Your skills, themes, statuses, and permissions are all just files that you can edit. No complex UIs or settings menus. If you've used Claude Code's Claude.md files or skill folders, you'll feel right at home. Speaking of skills, Craft Agents supports over 32 Craft document tools through MCP integration. So if you're already using Craft for your notes and documentation, the integration is pretty seamless. If you want to build it from source, you can clone the repo from github.com/lukalabs/craftagentsOSS, then run bun install and bun run electron:*start. Once you have it installed, you'll need to set up your billing. You can either use your own Anthropic API key or connect it to a Claude Max subscription. Then, you create a workspace, connect your sources like GitHub repos or local folders, and you're good to go. The tech stack is pretty modern too. It's built with Bun for the runtime, Electron for the desktop app, React for the UI, and Shatson with Tailwind for styling. They also use AES 256 GCM encryption for storing your credentials, which is good to see. One thing I really appreciate is the multi-file diff viewer. When the agent makes code changes, you can see all the diffs in a nice interface before approving them. This is so much better than trying to review changes in a terminal. You can see exactly what's being modified across all your files, accept or reject individual changes, and keep track of everything the agent is doing. That level of visibility is really helpful when you're letting an AI make changes to your codebase. The drag and drop file support is also nice. You can just drop images, PDFs, or Office documents directly into a conversation. No need to manually specify file paths or copy things around. The agent can then analyze those files, extract information, or use them as context for whatever task you're working on. Another feature worth mentioning is the session documentation. Every conversation captures the decisions made and the reasoning behind the implementation. You can share these sessions with your team or attach them to GitHub issues and pull requests. So if someone asks why a certain change was made, you have the full context right there in the conversation history. Now, is this better than Claude Code? Well, it depends on your workflow. If you're comfortable in the terminal and you like the minimalist approach, Claude Code is still great. But if you want a more visual interface with better multitasking support and easier team collaboration, Craft Agents is definitely worth checking out. The GUI makes it more approachable for people who aren't terminal power users, and the workspace isolation means you can have completely separate environments for different projects. The fact that it's open source is also a big plus. The project is Apache 2.0 licensed, so you can fork it, customize it, or contribute back if you want. The repo is actively maintained, and they welcome contributions. If you find a bug or want to add a feature, you can just submit a pull request. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, share your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel. You can also donate via Super Thanks option or join the channel as well and get some perks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.